Hey, good morning, church. Hope you guys are having a great morning so far. So, we are into the last book of the Bible. We are into the Revelation of God. And now, this is a really fun really fun book to read through. So, if we just want to jump on in, we are in chapter 2 today. So, where we left off in chapter 1 was you see the Son of Man among 7 lampstands, and he has 7 stars in his hand. And it says up there in verse 20 of chapter 1, the secret of the 7 stars you saw in my right hand, and of the 7 gold lampstands is this. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. So, there are the 7 churches that the Son of Man, Jesus, is standing with. So in this chapter, in chapter 2, we see letters to 4 of those 7 churches. We see letters to Ephesus. Now, don't make fun of how I say these. I might not be saying them right, but this is how I say them. They write to the churches of Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, and Thyatira. So, if you start to read through these, you start to see a pattern. You see a pattern on how these letters are being written. You see that in almost every single one of them, they follow the same pattern. They start with an intro of God. So if you read in verse 1, write to the angel of the church in Ephesus, the one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand and who walks among the 7 gold lampstands says. So that's talking about Jesus. That is introing an intro of Jesus. And then after that, you see a praise of the church. Then you see a critique. And then you see a call to listen. So it's not like that with every single one, but it's how the pattern goes for most of them. Now, there's an exception, and there's only 2 letters that don't give a problem or give a warning. So those 2 would be Smyrna, the letter to Smyrna, and Philadelphia. So if we want to jump on in, we can go into Ephesus first. So I'm just going to walk through really quickly Ephesus. We won't be able to walk through all of them, but we're going to go through Ephesus today. So Ephesus starts the intro to God, like I just read. The one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand and who walks among the 7 gold lampstands says. So that is your intro to God. Now, the positives are in verses 2 and 3, but it's basically saying your works, your labor, your endurance, and your non-tolerance for evil. Those are the praises. So then you get into verse 4, which is the critique. So verse 4 says, "But I have this against you. You have abandoned the love you had at first." So God is telling, first of all, in the letter, John wrote the letter, is first of all telling them that John wrote the letter, but Jesus is speaking. That's what you get the intro of God from. And then you praise them by giving them what they are doing good. And then you give them the critique, what they need to do better, which in verse 4, you have abandoned the love you had at first, which would be pretty sad and terrifying that God is telling you that you have abandoned, basically telling them, Jesus is basically telling them that you have abandoned me. The love you have at first was Jesus, and Jesus is telling him you have abandoned me, basically. So there's that. And then if you go into verse 7, you get the call to listen. So if you read verse 7, it says, "Anyone who has an ear should listen to what the Spirit says to the churches. I will give the victor the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in God's paradise." So now he's giving you a reason that you should listen. Not just because of the beginning, that's Jesus talking, but this is a call to listen. So, I mean, you can walk through and break all these letters down, but the thing that just kept going in my head was, if there was a letter to Boundless Grace, but yeah, if there's a letter to you personally, what would that look like? What would the praise look like? What would the critique look like? And what would the call to action look like, or the call to listen? So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. God bless.